Hello students, and welcome back to Hexxit Education. Today we're going to be talking about Xeno's Reliquary, and in particular the weapons and tools that are available through it. Now, again, just as with our previous episode on Better Dungeons, this is not going to be an extensive list. This is just the ones that sort of don't fit into other lessons. So without further ado, we're going to head over to our library, and I'm going to show you what Xeno's Reliquary has to offer in terms of weapons and tools that keep you alive in Hexxit. Okay, so first off, we have glowing water. This stuff works essentially like a grenade. So you just chuck it, and it deals splash damage similar to a splash potion to undead around you. But its primary use is actually in crafting. So you make it with glowstone dust and condensed splash serum, which you actually need nether wart, gunpowder, and glowstone. I think we're actually going to talk about this when we get to Xeno's Reliquary potions. And vial of ordinary water is where is that? Yeah, we'll get to this when we get to the potions. It's a little bit complicated, but however, what you use glowing water for is somewhat useful. Here we go. We saw in our episode on the Hunter's handgun, you can use it to make exorcism shot. Coin. You can actually use it to make several of the items we're going to talk about in a moment, including the coin of fortune, cross of mercy, the holy hand grenades. Very cool. Sojourner's staff, witherless rose. These all require glowing water, and it's also used in something else we're going to talk about in a moment involving the Tome of Alcahast. But we'll get to that in just a minute. This is what I was talking about. We're going to talk about. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but in our episode on food, we're going to talk about glowing bread. This is actually a very useful type of bread. It's very similar to whey bread that you get from Lord of the Rings, and it's highly nutritious. So that's the glowing water. Next up is the cross of mercy, and I just want to show you the text here. Damn, that thing is heavy. That, my friend, is because it's so full of mercy. The fluff text is actually a reference to Trigun. It's an anime I used to love watching. But the cross of mercy is essentially a melee weapon. You use it to guard just like a sword, and you hit with it, and it deals extra damage to undead. Okay, next we have the Holy Hand Grenade, and this is a reference to Monty Python. This is a very powerful, non-griefing explosive round. Let me just show you again how you make it. Yeah, TNT, gold nuggets, and glowing water. You get 4 of them. Now, I'm pretty sure it should be safe in here because this is actually a non-griefing round. Yep. Very strong. Again, I just getting a little bit of lag here. I think it's targeting the floor underneath me. But if you happen to get into making some glowing water, get some nether wart together, very useful weapon. Okay, now the next one we're going to talk about is the Ice Magus Rod. I'm kind of curious about this one because I'm not sure how good it actually is. What it does is it fires snowballs. So watch this. I believe it will hold up to 257 snowballs. In terms of damage, I'm really not sure. I don't think it is as good as a sword. But I am kind of curious here. Oh, lag spike. Sorry about that. It's Hexxit. We are using Minecraft 1.5, so you're gonna have to get used to. Yeah, this is Minecraft 1.5, so I have to get used to a little bit of lag. So I'm curious what happens when I hit the pig with a snowball. Oh, 2 whole damage. Yeah, but you can also do like machine gun. Considering I'm pretty sure that snowballs don't do any damage at all. Not terrible, but not quite as good as a bow. But if you happen to want to have a snowball fight with a friend, and your friend starts throwing snowballs at you, and you can break out this thing, and you know, like it's kind of like the kid who puts the rocks in their snowballs. Okay, so next up we have Magic Bane. This thing is not incredibly useful, and I think it's meant primarily for PvP, and it could be useful against some bosses. And how you make it is basically a whole lot of Eye of Ender with gold and iron, and what it does is inflicts a random debuff on a target. Basically, this is your anti-caster weapon. So yeah, it just guards regularly. So every time you hit a target with it, it has a chance to cast a random debuff. It could be poison, it could be weakness, it could be blindness, anything like that. This is used against high-level targets that you sort of need to damage for a little bit, then get back to hit with a ranged weapon. So it's not bad. If you happen to have a whole lot of extra ender pearls, not the worst thing, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Okay, next up we're going to talk about the Cloak of Distortion. This thing is kind of cool. I'm interested to see exactly how it works. So the text on it says, right-click invisibility, sneak to teleport. Consumes ender pearls for its charge, currently 0M, 0S remaining. Alright, so what this does, right-click. Okay, so I'm invisible, 0 minutes here, but on here it says, okay, so the countdown is not here. The countdown is in the item itself. 1 minute and 48 seconds, and it consumed 1 ender pearl in order to do that. So I'm walking around doing my thing, and I think if you right-click again, it disables it. But it says it still has the same remaining time, so you can click it again without using another ender pearl to get short-term invisibility. This is a pretty useful weapon. Unfortunately, they do see, unless you deselect your, and they do see you're actually carrying something, but still. So right click, and I think you press, oh, sorry, right click. Ah, that was it. Okay, so go back into regular first person mode. So I'm here, sneak, right click. Whoa. Okay, that thing actually teleported me into the glass. That's kind of dangerous. But my understanding is that it's actually line of sight, so let me try and hit that. Holy crap. Sorry, hold on a second. I'm not in creative mode at the moment. Okay, so the main benefit to the teleportation system on this cloak is that unlike normal ender pearls, you throw them and you get pretty far out of it, but you take a little bit of damage. So let me go up over there. Yeah, so pretty far. However, with this, let's see, I wanted to get, let's go for broke, up there. Yeah, there's no way you'd be able to hit that with an ender pearl. And I'm pretty sure the range isn't even that good. It does consume one to do the same thing, but the range is superior. So let me try and land us. I don't think I can hit exactly down there. Let me try the ground. There we go, close enough. So not bad, and you make this cloak using, oh sorry, you made this cloak using Eyes of Ender and blue wool, and I think this is a much better use of Eyes of Ender than Magic Bane. Definitely give it a try, but again, you need to have lots of ender pearls in order for this thing to function properly. But used correctly, it's very useful. Okay, next up, the Witherless Rose. Now, this essentially makes you immune to withering effects. But however, it is very expensive. How expensive is it? Well, I think you just saw it a moment ago because it does require glowing water. But yeah, you need 4 nether stars. So if you have, for some reason, already killed 4 4 withers, and want to keep killing more without getting affected by the wither effect, then you can certainly do this. Alternately, you can actually use a couple of the things using the tome using the Alkahest reagent. Once you get one nether star, to duplicate it into other ones. So if you get one, you could conceivably make this with a well, still a fair amount of difficulty, but not impossible. But it makes you immune to withering effects. Next up, we have the Altar of Light, and this is a kind of an unusual block. And we're actually going to go back outside. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you from Xeno's Reliquary is the Altar of Light, formerly known as the Altar of Alkestri. And this kind of reminds me of a video game I used to play called Chrono Trigger. And basically the idea behind it was that at a certain point in the game you would travel back in time, take a moonstone, expose it to sunlight for several million years, and it would eventually turn into a sunstone. What you do is you craft this, and let me show you the recipe. It is made with obsidian, 4 redstone lamps, and an emerald in the middle. And what you do is you feed it 3 pieces of redstone. It turns yellow like that and emits yellow particles. And what it does is after 2 days, that is 1 full day after when you activate it, it will grow a glowstone block on the top, which when you can put 3 more redstone into it to generate more glowstone. So again, it could be useful if you were so inclined to get that much glowstone at a very, very low rate. But it's up to you. Okay, so next up, very, very useful item. This is the Lily Pad of Fertility. I'm not spelling it right. There it is. Lily Pad of Fertility. Take a lily pad with splash fertilizer serums, and you make this using bone meal and a condensed splash serum. We'll talk about this when we get to the episode on Xeno's Reliquary potions, made with nether wart and glowstone and wild ordinary water. So what does this do? This makes, how do I put it? This makes crops grow faster. And specifically, it grows faster within a 9x9x6 block. So that is, if you were to put this on the ground here, you can't actually because you can't put it on a block here. But if you were to put it, say where this torch is, it would make the crops on the same level as it, 1 block below it, and 4 above it grow faster. One of the primary uses of this, other than getting crops quicker, is getting rarer crops quicker. So when we get to our episode on the chocobos, when we get to the Geisel greens, you'll find that when we start planting Geisel greens, you need the Loverly and the golden ones, which are a rarer drop. So you plant a lily pad of fertility next to it, you're more likely to get the rarer drops from crops. So very useful. Okay, next up we have a very interesting system for teleporting yourself back and forth. First off, we have the Salamander's Eye. Dispels blaze fireballs and reflects gas fireballs while held. Puts out fires on and around you. It does basically what it says it does. If you are holding it, not just in your hotbar, but actually holding it, it dispels blaze fireballs and reflects gas fireballs and basically makes you immune to fire, but only if you're holding it. So it's useful if you're trying to run away or run towards something, but there's actually better use for it, because this is actually used in crafting this, the Wraith's Eye. Right-clicking on a Wraith node binds to it, allowing you to return to it at will, currently bound to nowhere. This is a Wraith node. And let me show you how you make these. Salamander's Eye, Eye Vendor, 2 magma creams, 4 blaze rods, and a gas tier. Basically, really heavy nether ingredients making that. Then you take the Salamander Eye, and you add 2 blocks of emerald and 6 empty void tiers. We'll talk about those in a moment, but suffice to say they're also made with gas tiers and as vendors. So that means you will need to make you'll need 2, 4, 6 times, so you'll need 12 gas tears and 12 eyes of ender, plus 2 blocks of emerald in order to make this device. But trust me, once you make it, it's pretty cool. This is essentially a renewable scroll of escape. We talked about in our previous episode. What you do is, I've never actually done this before, but let's say I'll put it right next to our essence extractor. Take a rat's eye, right click, and is currently bound to this location. So I'm gonna run away for a little while. Just right click once. It will consume 1 ender pearl and teleport you back to the location. Very useful. Is it worth it? I know I'm not sure. If you have a lot of farm from the nether, I would say yes, but the scroll of escape is really, really handy. What this does is it allows you to go to a location rather than to your previous bed. So it could be very valuable to you, but it's up to you. On the other hand, again, if you happen to be a fan of Captain Sparkle's Hexxit series, you'll know he makes a liberal use of the command blocks. So you can just easily teleport yourself using one of those, but command blocks are beyond the scope of this particular mod pack review. So next up, we're going to get into the Tome of Alcahest and the Alcahest. This is sort of the meat and potatoes of Xeno's Reliquary. It is essentially a use for lapis and redstone. So what I mean by that, let me see what you get when you bring this up. So the Tome of Alcahest itself requires a wither skeleton skull and several other nether heavy ingredients. But once you make it, it's used in a number of things. Here we go. So shaped crafting, the big thing, you can actually take several diamond blocks, not impossible to find in Hexxit, and make a dragon egg. That's right, this is an ender dragon egg. Same thing. Very, very useful. At least I'm pretty sure it is. The other thing you can do with it is, like, as I said, I alluded to before, if you manage to kill a wither and you get yourself some extra skulls, some glowing water, a diamond, you can actually just give yourself another nether star. So all you need is the wither skulls and 1 nether star to create multiple nether stars, which is useful because these are used in producing the second item we're going to talk about, the Alcahest. This is essentially what the Tome of Alcahest does is how do I put this? So what is it that the Tome of Alcahest can do? Well, essentially it's used to multiply certain items using redstone. So shapeless crafting, if you take it plus dirt plus 1 redstone, you get a lot more dirt. If you use it plus cobblestone, a lot more cobblestone. So it's essentially the same thing. It's used to multiply different materials, and in general, it's useful. It's more useful for some of these others. For example, you can use it to multiply your clay. So that's kind of somewhat rare. You can use it to multiply obsidian. Saves you a little bit of mining time. You can use it to multiply end stone, among other things. You can use it to multiply diamond. So pretty cool. Gold, iron, gunpowder. So if you have a lot of redstone, you want to make gunpowder this way. That's a lot of redstone, 4 to 1. Okay, so that this is the Tome of Alcahest. The Alcahest itself is a solvent. So what that means is that you use it with large amounts of a substance in order to gain redstone or lapis. And what I mean by that is pretty much anything. The amounts vary greatly, so I'm not going to include them here. But pretty much, if you put almost any vanilla item next to it, you will get either lapis or redstone back from it. But unfortunately, as I alluded to before, in order to make the Alcahest, you need 2 nether stars and the dragon egg we talked about. So I mean, you make that using blocks of diamond. So it's a useful system for getting certain things, but in general in Hexxit it's not really necessary because we're not dealing with accumulating material. We're talking about adventuring. We're going out and killing stuff. So it's available, but not exactly something to really aim for. You can support it if you want to, and I recommend you do, because this is actually one of the few mod packs that actually includes Xeno's Reliquary, and it's a fairly useful but fairly rare mod. So next up, I just want to mention briefly the Coin of Fortune. What this is a toggled magnetization. So press it once, and I believe it's on because the icon changed. So for example, you just drop a couple of these on the floor. Yep, it dropped in immediately. So somewhat useful. I find that if you happen to have a magnetic axe or an item, it's a little bit better. But the main difference is this also draws in XP, so it can be useful. You make it by using gold, Eyes of Ender, and glowing water. So it's not an early game item. Okay, next up you have the Destruction Catalyst. I'm going to show you this, but I'm not recommending you make it, mostly because I think it's actually a waste of gunpowder. And what this does is it destroys all vanilla blocks within a 3x3 cube. So for example, let's go over here. If I were to click on, let's say right here, no, here. Boom. No items, just destroyed, and it took 3 gunpowder in order to do that. It's not that useful. I mean, I could do the same effect with an excavator, and it would be easier to come by. And again, it's used only for vanilla items, so it wouldn't be useful for, say, for example, endstone, or the materials that are in the Dark Tower, because those are warded and you can't go through that. So it's available, but I wouldn't recommend making it. Okay, next up we have the Emperor's Chalice. And this thing is kind of interesting in terms of its mechanic. So I'm just going to drop a couple of blocks here and a bucket of water. So right click with the chalice to absorb some water. So what happened when I right click this? Does it say? Yeah, sorry. An infinite water bucket, unless you drink from it. So I'm going to right click back here. See, I left water there, but water is still in there. So I'm going to right click. Okay, so as far as I can tell, the Emperor's Chalice is currently not working. What's supposed to do, and what I think it does in other versions of Xeno's Reliquary, is that when you right-click on it to drink it, it literally does what it says. It trades your life for hunger, approximately either a half heart or a heart apiece. But it's not working, and I'm not sure why exactly. So it could be very likely that it's bugged, but one useful thing about it is that it is an infinite water source. So if you're using it for refilling cauldrons or anything in that regard, it's a little easier than going back and using your fountain. It is, however, a little more expensive. Let me show you the recipe. Yeah, 3 gas tiers, emeralds, and gold. But if you happen to have that, and you need an infinite water source, not the worst thing in the world. Okay, next up we have the Sojourner Staff. Now this thing is kind of interesting. So what it does is does this. It will absorb all your torches in your inventory, and it holds up to a maximum of 513. And what it does is it allows you to place torches. So normal enough. 1 for 1. But another thing it can do is it can also place ones that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to reach. So I think, yeah. So let's imagine you're in a dark cave, and you want to place ones all around here. But watch this. We're at 138. 136. So it costs 2 torches to place one that far away. But torches are relatively cheap and actually renewable. So I would recommend getting this thing if you happen to do a lot of caving. Very useful. Let me show you how you make it. Magma cream, glowing water, gold, and blaze rod. So nether heavy materials, but worth it after you make a couple sojourns to nether. You can sojourn in other places as well. Okay, next up we have the touchstone of Midas. This one's a little confusing. So first thing it did, if you look at my hotbar, it consumed nearly a whole stack of glowstone. And what it does is pretty much like it says, it repairs items made out of gold. So hold on. Okay, so we're out here, and I want to show you what exactly this touchstone of Midas does. Basically, what it does is, first thing it does is it consumes all of the glowstone you have in your inventory. And I don't think it's actually a 1-to-1, but I think it took about a 1 stack of glowstone to recover its whole durability. So what this does is it repairs items. So for example, you drop this off. Okay, so I have a gold sword, and I'm gonna go kill this pig. And ordinarily, I would not recommend you make a gold sword because I just hit it twice and it took away like a 10th of its damage. But if I pick up this touchstone, it automatically consumes some of its durability, its glowstone durability, and repaired the gold sword. That is kind of useful, especially when you consider how much more enchantable gold weapons and armor are. Now, the one thing is that it will do this continuously. So unless you have a lot of glowstone, you may want to keep it in your backpack and bring it out when you need it. Because when you're in combat and you have gold armor, it will just continuously use it up. But again, gold is such a low durability in the first place that it may actually be worth it, even in the best situation. Okay, so next up is kind of an unusual set of items. So first and foremost, the empty void tier. And this is made with 2 gas tiers and 2 eyes of ender. This is primarily used as a crafting ingredient to make the Wrath's Eye and the Wraith's Eye and the Wraith. No, I'm gonna get one the right one these days. The Wraith's Eye and the Wraith Node. The void tier, which is with the empty void tier. What this does is it attempts to. Okay, I better if I show you actually. What the empty void tier does is when you right click on it, it will essentially consume, for lack of a better term, the highest number item that you have in your inventory. So I'm going to click it once, and it generated another void tier. And this one, because I happen to have some bricks in my inventory, went into here. So this one now holds 60 stone bricks, and this one before holds 384 cobblestone. So I'm going to right click on the one that has a cobblestone, and it emptied it, put it back in my stack, and dropped it all over the place. So if I click it again, yeah, it's somewhat useful for transporting large amounts of items. Unfortunately, it only works on single items, and it's the same thing for the void satchel. Okay, so as far as I can tell, the void satchel does not currently work. My understanding is that you're supposed to be able to shift right click on a chest or a storage device, and it will pick up a large number of a single item that's in it. I thought it might have been because I was using the better stored chest here. So I was using iron chest, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Shift right click. Nope, it's not working. Okay, so the void satchel is currently not functioning. The void tiers are not terribly beneficial. You can use them to temporarily hold again a large quantity of a single item, but in general you're not going to need that in Hexxit. You will, however, use the empty void tiers to craft the Wraith's Eye and the Wraith Node. So in that regard, they are somewhat useful. Okay, and this brings us to the end of our lesson on the tools and weapons available through Xeno's Reliquary. Next lesson we'll be talking about our armor. Almost all the available armor in Hexxit. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that lesson. And this has been Ken Kadia for Hexxit Education. Class dismissed.